turn away because Pete Rose is now just a cartoon character.
We need to take a moment to mark the passing of Harry Kalas, who died today after collapsing hours before he was supposed to take the microphone and announce the Phillies road game at Washington this afternoon. Kalas was 73 years old. For 38 years, Kalas had announced Phillies games, but was known nationally as the great voice of NFL films, who had succeeded the first great voice of NFL films, John Facenda. Both men spent their professional careers in Philadelphia, and both, it could fairly be said, had the voice of God.
I know it's a sad time for all Philadelphians, Tony, and particularly some friends of mine who grew up listening to Harry. And what's really bothersome is that since 1998, Harry Carey, Jack Buck, Kurt Gowdy, Jack Brickhouse, Phil Rizzuto, Joe Nuxhall, Mel Allen, and now Harry Kalas have all great voices that you and I and millions of people grew up on, and those guys are now gone. It's really sad.
Fans on their feet. Rally towels are being waved. Brad Lidge stretches. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And there is a close bond between sports fans and the voice they hear each summer, year after year. For Phillies fans, that voice, since 1971, was Harry Kalas. Today, in the broadcast booth, before an afternoon game between the Phillies and Nationals, Kalas was found passed out and rushed to the hospital. He died shortly thereafter. Kalas had surgery earlier this year for what it wasn't disclosed. The Phillies say it was for something minor, though Kalas just last week, as the Phillies opened their season, did come out on the field and looked drawn and somewhat weakened. Known for the deepest and richest of broadcast voices, Harry Kalas was 73 years old. He had been with the Phillies for the past 38 years, but he goes back to the Astros broadcasting team in 1965 before moving to Philadelphia. Best known for teaming up with Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn, the duo was extremely popular. Kalas himself would be honored by the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2002, earning the Ford Frick Award. His deep baritone also graced NFL films going back to 1975. I'll listen back now at Harry Kalas through the years. This statement now from Commissioner Bud Selig. We'll hear Harry Kalas himself coming up later. Commissioner Selig saying Major League Baseball has lost one of the great voices of our generation. We express our deepest sympathy to Harry's wife, Eileen, and his three sons, Todd, Brad, and Kane. End quote. Also mentioning that baseball announcers have a special bond with their audience, and Harry represented the best of baseball, not only to the fans of the Phillies, but to fans everywhere. The loss of Harry Kalas had a great effect throughout the baseball world today.
3 balls and no strikes to Schmidt. Here's the stretch by Robinson. The 3-0 pitch. Swing a long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run for Michael Jack Schmidt. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Line drive. Great grab. Charlie Hayes. Charlie Hayes spears it. And Mulholland has pitched a no-hit, no-run game at Veterans Stadium. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Phillies are the '93 National League champions. This wacky, wonderful bunch of throwbacks has won the National League pennant and go on to the World Series. The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of baseball, and let the city celebrate.
All right, the sounds there of Harry Kalas through the years. We'll have reaction coming up. The game did go on. They're in the bottom of the 9th right now. This is the game that Harry Kalas was getting ready for this afternoon. The Phillies saying that Harry would have wanted it to go on. It's 9-8 Philadelphia right now in the bottom of the 9th. Of course, our own John Kruk played for the Philadelphia Phillies. Peter Gammons is also a Hall of Fame honoree. Let's go to Carl Ravitch and those gentlemen right now. Baseball tonight. They're at the opening of the new Citi Field for the Mets and Padres. Carl?
Hi, Brian. Thank you very much. And certainly a lot of mixed emotions among the three of us here. This is somebody who, of course, made a living in our industry. And John got a chance to be very close to Harry. And the Fidrich news, which is now just breaking about his passing. It's amazing. You think about two people. If you were to kind of list the history of baseball and go back over people that enjoyed the game, so many athletes right now are criticized for doing it for money, that Harry Kalas lived to be at the ballpark, and Fidrich seemed to have an embracement of the game that very few do. I know that we were with you when you found out about Harry. That was difficult, and I'm sure it's difficult to talk about it now. And yet you hear people say at the stadium he passed in the environment that he was most comfortable.
Yeah, where else?
Right.
Where else would he go but in a ballpark, in an announcer's booth? That's where he belonged. That's where his life was. Yeah, we miss him. We're going to miss him desperately. He was not only the people of Philadelphia,
right.
He was a friend to everybody. And I never, Carl, in all the years I've known Harry Kalas, I've never heard him say a bad word about him. You can't say that about a lot of people.
Right.
But just this calming voice in the worst of seasons, just having him around. I remember coming from Philadelphia to New York, riding in a town car every time we made the trip to New York with Harry, and we'd have beer and we'd talk about sports, we talk about everything in life, but we mostly talked about Phillies baseball and the history of baseball with him. Those are things I remember. You know, the fact that we played cards on the plane with him, and you know, just to hear his voice, he announced while we were playing cards, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
When we clinched a division, when we won a National League championship, we were in the clubhouse celebrating. Where's Harry? We need Harry here. He has to be here to sing for us.
Right.
And he would come in and join in the celebration. And I'm still in shock. And it's going to be a difficult day to get by without it.
Right. Well, you know, for people in Los Angeles, Vin Scully's name comes to mind, Milo Hamilton in Houston. There are so many countless others that are associated with teams, and Harry Kalas was one of those guys. John Sterling to a lesser degree, perhaps, to the Yankee fans. And you take from Kalas and you go to Mark Fidrich, and like Brian Kenny had just said, a lot of people don't know. I mean, the Bird, which is what he was known even before Larry Bird was the Bird. This guy was as animated on the field as any human being you've ever seen, Peter.
He was one of the great pop phenomena in baseball history. In 1976, when he burst on the scene, he talked to baseballs. He was a character. He was so much fun. He was a great pitcher, too. 1909, the old days of Monday Night Baseball. He was the guy that got the highest ratings in baseball in that 5-year period, and it was a major part of bringing baseball back to the forefront in Detroit. Fun, crazy, and he was great when he was healthy.
Yeah, both of the men, even in their passing, somehow are able to put a smile on your face, which they did for so many years. Fidrich for a much shorter period in Detroit, and Harry Kalas as well. So the two big stories in baseball, unfortunately, involve people who are passed away. And yet the game will continue, and the new Citi Field will be unveiled later on this show.
Carl, guys, thank you so much. Again, a good point there. Fidrich, genuine out there on the mound, talking to the baseball. It was just a thrill to watch. We'll have much more on him later on SportsCenter. Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, by the way, also had this to say, that he was shocked and saddened by Kalas's untimely and unexpected passing. He called Kalas a, quote, Philadelphia institution. Much more on the passing of Harry Kalas and Mark the Bird Fidrich later here during SportsCenter. We'll also have reaction on the Phillies' all-time great, the man that Harry Kalas called with such flair, Michael Jack Schmidt.